Hi, everybody. For today's devotion, I want to finish off Isaiah chapter 6. In the first devotion, we saw God in his majesty, power, and holiness. In the second devotion, we saw how Isaiah was struck when seeing this with his own sinful unworthiness. But God provided the means of the forgiveness of his sin and his salvation. But the story doesn't stop there. It continues in verse 8, and it says this: "And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, 'Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?' Then I said, 'Here I am, send me.'" Sometimes we think that the story stops with salvation and there's nothing more, but there is more. This whole passage is pictured God as king. And if he's king, then Isaiah has become his subject. It's not a democracy. He has plans and orders for Isaiah's life. But he's not an autocrat that just forces himself upon people. He asks because he wants Isaiah to have a heart to be part of this mission. Now, look at how Isaiah responds. He says, "Here I am, send me." That's not the language of cold duty. He isn't like so many of us. I hope this brings us conviction, where we just drag our heels, we hem and haw, and we think, "Oh, God, is this too hard? This is too tough. I know you sent your son to die on the cross for me, but can't we just leave it at that and I see you in heaven? I've got plans for my life. I've got things I want to do. Don't interfere with my plans." But see, here's the thing. If Jesus is your Savior, he's also your King, your Lord. You can't have him as Savior and not Lord. You either have him as Lord and Savior, or you don't have him as Savior or Lord. So if you are a believer, he's in charge of your life, and you have an obligation to follow him. But here's the thing. It's not a brutal obligation. It's a joy and an honor to serve one like that. Look at Isaiah. When he sees the glory of God, he sees his majesty, his splendor, his power. He wants to sing praises along with the seraphim, but he recognizes, I'm not worthy. I can't. I've got sinful lips. And so when God provides that salvation and then gives him an opportunity to do something, he jumps at it. Why? Not just because he's seen God in his glory and majesty, but he's felt and experienced God's amazing grace and love. Double reason to want to serve God. And then he's given a mission. If I were to read on, it says in verse 9, I'm not going to read it all, but it says in verse 9, keep on, this is the message, keep on hearing, but do not understand. Keep on seeing, but do not perceive. Isaiah's prophetic ministry is going to be full of frustration and rejection. And yet, even later, it pictures destruction, judgment like a forest fire. And yet, verse 13 ends with a holy seed as a stump that grows up out of the ashes. Because with a God like this, there is always hope of success, no matter how bad it might get. He always preserves some for himself. And so, as we look at Isaiah's mission, no doubt, knowing how hard it would be, God gave him this glorious vision of himself. Well, we get this vision in the cross, where we see the majesty of God, that Christ was willing to condescend and serve us, being obedient even to the death of the cross. And because of that, God raised him up to the highest heights of glory, and we glorify him because he died for us. This is the message. This is the mission that we have, to tell other sinners who are just like us, just as needy, just as guilty, to tell them there's a Savior that loves them, and if they will put their faith in him, will purify their sin and bring them to himself for eternity. What a message to have. What a Savior we have. And seeing this, let us have that hope and that desire, like Isaiah, to say, "Here I am, Lord, send me." And don't just say that as some sort of a nice thing to say. I mean, mean it. Actually pray today. Stop after this video. Pray today. God, send me today. Send me to someone. Bring someone across my path. Put someone in my mind. Let me be an encouragement. Let me live the gospel to others, but also let me speak it to others. You know, right now we spend a lot more time with our family. Do you have members of your family who aren't saved? Maybe start praying and seeing how you can reach them. And I know life is kind of put on hold a little bit with all these restrictions. We live in the pandemic, but the mission is not put on hold. And while we can't physically be present with many people, we can still communicate with them. And the gospel is a message that you can tell even over the internet. So get out there, pray today. Here I am, Lord, send me, and be expectant. Wait and see who he puts in your life today, this week. Wouldn't that be wonderful if we prayed that every morning this week? God bless you.